Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us online on a Wednesday evening, or if you're watching this again on YouTube, that's obviously fine. If you are watching us live, if you have any questions, please do stick them in the comments below. So I'm Becky. I'm the director of Northampton Film Festival. We have our 4th edition starting in March 2025, which is very exciting. We've got over 80 films. We show quite a huge amount of short films, but we also show feature-length films. And this evening, I am joined by the stars and makers of Gama Survival of the Fastest. This is a music doc that you can see at Delapre Abbey on Sunday, the 9th of March at 5 o'clock, alongside 2 other short films. We've got a UK premiere for this feature film, which is very exciting. Sorry, I think it's an English premiere of the film. We've also got a UK premiere of one of the short films that we're showing. So it's a very exciting screening. And this might be the first time, I don't know, that we've had some thrash metal in Delapre Abbey, which is an amazing 900-year-old building. So that's very exciting times. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in our guests this evening, who are, we have the lead vocalist, Philly Byrne. We have the director of the documentary, Kiran, Acharya, and producer, Sara Gunn-Smith. So there we go, bring everybody in, walking on. Hello. How are we all doing?
Hi. Hi, Becky.
Hello. So I'm gonna leap right in there because I have to admit straight off, and I probably shouldn't do it, that I wouldn't have classed myself as a thrash metal fan. But I absolutely love this documentary, hence why we only choose 2 or 3 features from documentary and narrative each year, and this is one of 3 documentaries only that we are showing this year. But I loved it because I think it is about so much more than thrash metal. And actually, do you know what, secretly it took me a little bit back to when I was 20, which was obviously only a few years ago, when I did, you know, spend quite a bit of time in rock clubs and kind of metal clubs, but maybe a little less fast than Gama. But I just want to get to the heart of it. For you, I don't know where we'll start. Should we start with Kiran? What is the heart of this film?
The heart of the film, I think, is probably something that, you know, Philly saw and observed when I was first showing people the early cuts of the film. It was Philly and some of our closest friends saw that it was a film about friendship more so than music. You know, some music docs or metal docs even go down the route of interview after interview after interview on the, you know, the technical nuance, or, you know, how they recorded this album or that album, whereas Survival of the Fastest, I think, is an adventure alongside a gang of friends. What was it, Philly, that one of our friends said after we had the work in progress screening?
So turn that off. I don't want to say it again. No. I don't recall. Who was it?
I think Neil O'Hagan said it's an adventure alongside my friends, and it makes me want to share it with my friends.
That's nice. Yeah.
There you go. Put that on the DVD, lads. Put that on the DVD box. Yeah, I think what's interesting about it is, I think I heard this quote before. Somebody said you find the universal in the particular, and I think it's a film about a thrash metal band, but it's not a documentary about thrash metal. But it has enough. It introduces you to that world, and it brings you into that world, the world of festivals and concerts and rehearsing and this music and stuff. And I think in that it finds, you know, I think it finds a story that anybody could like, which is brilliant. And I think that's Kieran's real achievement here, is that he took something that could have just been a hagiography, or that could have just been a wacky, you know, travelogue, but he actually gave it a load of heart, you know. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's what I liked about it. I found it uncomfortable watching, but whatever.
Well, yeah, this is always the way. So, I mean, how did it come about, like, Philly, and how does it feel like letting a documentary crew into your life?
Yeah, well, Kiran was the crew, so it wasn't too bad. He was already in my life anyway. Pardon me. So, yeah, I've known Kiran for 20 years. We've been friends for over 20 years, and we over the years have needed, you know, different help with things, and Kiran's really skilled with, you know, filming, production, editing, photography, everything. So over the years, he's also a man who can't say no easily. so you can rope them into things quite easily. You know,
just to you.
Yeah, just to me. Just it's because of these baby blues. But so Kiran ended up helping us on music videos and photo shoots and all different crazy things that we did over the years. And I think we've made maybe 10 music videos with Kiran now. And
Wow.
we were making a music video just sort of when the lockdown was easing off. We had a single, and when we were filming it at our bass player Joe's house, Kiran was like, "Oh, I think we should make a documentary. I think we should." It's one of those things when you have creative friends, people say things like that all the time. You know, we should get together and make a film. We should make a film. And like, it's the kind of thing my mates say to each other every year. Oh, maybe we should make a film. And he was like, "Yeah, I think I'll make a documentary." And I was like, "Yeah, whatever," you know, because that's what people say. And he was kind of he sort of perennially had a camera in his hand anyway. So it sort of just happened osmotically, like he was just filming us when he wasn't filming the video now. And then, pardon me, I'm very froggy. But then he was like, "Yes, I'll come to whatever your next gig is." And I was like, "Well, it's over here, it's wherever that is." And then he would show up. So he just kept showing up. And at first we're like, "This lad is mad. He's spending so much money on this, and God knows if he's ever going to see it back." But it was great. You know, Kiran obviously has been a close friend of the band for a long time, but he kind of was there. He was now part of the band. He was with us for nearly 2 years, or over 2 years, I think. And it was good. He put us on good behavior. You know, it's nice having another person there. It wasn't always an easy experience, but yeah, it rolled in very naturally. It was like he was helping us with some things, then he was helping us with nearly everything. Then he wanted to start filming us, so he started filming us, and he just showed up, and it kept going, you know, which was interesting.
Yeah, this is an opportunity to actually bring Sarah in. So, because you're right, Philly, there's the kind of thing where, you know, creatives go, yeah, we should do this thing, And then it's like, well, actually, how do you turn that into reality? And it's like,
well,
Sarah, is that your role as the producer to make this thing turn from two friends filming stuff into the feature film that we see?
Well, I came into the process when the majority of the film had been shot. So what happened was, through a lovely mutual friend of Kiran and I, he said, will you take a look at this? This guy's made this film about thrash metal. Will you take a look at it? And I said, no, I'm too busy. I don't no. Because I have another feature in development and I'm doing all sorts of things. And within about 20 minutes, I was laughing. I was like, just absolutely loved the characters. It felt, to be a filmmaker, it's very character driven. And I think the thing, as filmmakers and people who understand audiences, immediately you can see an audience for it. Yes, it's very kind of specific to our region. Yeah, the music genre is, quite specific, but there's an audience for this universal kind of thing. And I think, as the guys have mentioned, I think there's not enough films made, docs or fiction or whatever, about platonic love. I just love it, and I think maybe that's something maybe you only understand as you get older, that it's as important. It is your family, And this is like so I just fell in love with the film, with the story, and at that point I should say as well, Kiran spends most of his time in a very remote hut. No, so not a hut, your house now, but
he lives in a hut.
In my mind, like a hut in a fjord in Norway. So like we were kind of working for a couple of years remotely to bring this together.
It's more of a shack in a hut.
It's chilly in the winter. And it's that kind, bringing kind of a knowledge of exhibition and all that stuff was kind of really useful, that I could make some editorial comments, and I could really see what we could do with it. And we've been really surprised so far on its journey, and hopefully that will continue on for another while.
Yeah, I think that's a very nice point you made there. It's like the point of the film is we are pals, and it's very rare, I think, now. I don't know what it is that's going on in broader culture. I think it's rare to hear stories about the emotional lives of men. For example, I think that's why The Bear is a very successful show, because it's mostly about a man's emotional life. Obviously, there are lots of female characters in it too, but I think it's about a man, and it's about his life, and it's not violent, and it's not. And I think this film, when we're in a culture where people talk a lot about sort of right-wing people are talking a lot about masculine energy. You know, we've got Mark Zuckerberg thinks that's a chain and a UFC belt or whatever. But in reality, that's masculine energy, is to be creative and have your guard down and be nice. And I'm probably going off on one here, but yeah, I think it is a very nice thing about the film. It, you know, he paints us in a very good light and he makes us look like nice lads who are nice to each other. And I have a feeling, apart from the salty language now, when my kids are older, my kids are 6 and 8 years old, and when they're older, I'm very hopeful they can watch it and really get a picture of what I was like when they went there.
Absolutely. And yeah, you know, it's really interesting you say that, because actually we're showing quite a lot of films this year at the film festival that do look at, you know, kind of ways that men exist that don't fit stereotypes. And that's really nice, because we also do a really big thing for International Women's Day, and it's, which, you know, is needed and it is a really interesting thing to do, but particularly in the film industry. But I think equally, it's equally important to be showing, emotional lives of men and everything else as well. And I also found something that I found really interesting, because as well as a film festival, we run like a creative industries hub in Northampton where we try and support creatives. And it was really interesting, like hearing you talk about that balance of life, your art, and, you know, whether you know, as filmmakers, I think we're told often that we should just sacrifice everything for film. And I'm not sure, I think that's changing. And it was really interesting to hear you talk really about, like, how you balance where your real life is somewhere else, I think you say. I think that's a nice quote.
Yeah. And it is a balancing act. And I don't know if we have it right yet or if we ever will. A friend of mine met Brian Blessed at a charity event, and he was down to earth and very funny. I'm kidding. No, we met him at a charity event, and Brian Blessed said to him something that I found very resonant, very true. He said to him that being an artist is a fundamentally selfish condition. It does involve going away, literally going away, either going away in your own head, going away with your energy, going away physically to other places. And there's a degree of selfishness involved in it. And I think the film does show that we have a degree of commitment to it, but it also does talk about the fact that we have real lives. And I think you have to be selfish. You have to have people around you who are going to let you be selfish within boundaries. And we're quite lucky that at this stage in our lives, I'm going to caveat that at this stage in our lives, we have people around us who are willing to. But yeah, it's interesting. I think years ago, I think we talk about this in the movie. Years ago, bands had to pretend that they didn't have day jobs. Particularly, you know, you would self-describe as a singer, but really you were still working and doing whatever. Whereas now I think that veil has dropped a little bit, and it's more about your commitment to it and the work that you do. I think had we thrown caution to the wind and tried to live the dream and not kept up jobs, we could probably be a bigger band, but I don't think we would be happier people, because the more weight and the more hope and the more expectation that you put on this performing as a way to live your life. You know, you're going to do gigs. Is that going to pay you to run a car? You're going to do gigs. Is that going to pay for a house? Is that going to, you know, when you start getting a bit older and you have sore back, is it going to look after you? And I know people who have done it, and to an extent it has gone well for them, but the security is not there. So yeah, it is a balancing act. And I think the film captures that. I think it was also very important for us. If someone is going to follow you around for 2 years with a camera, especially someone you're already very intimate with, you're not going to start putting on, you're not going to start projecting some kind of image of things that's not real, because you'll trip yourself up. Within 10 minutes of filming you, you'll accidentally go, I was working last week, and then you go, damn, and I've said the thing I wasn't supposed to say because I'm supposed to look cool, you know. So it didn't make sense for us to fib about anything. And the reality is, yes, we have lives. But yeah, I think it's an interesting time for that. Music isn't making lots and lots of money, but there's a way through. And a few people who have seen it said that they like that about the film, that it talks about just us being committed to doing this. And that for one of our mates, he said that he felt like the film really found itself whenever somebody said in it, I don't know what, it was probably me, somebody said, you know, it's about us just doing this on purpose. We're not doing it because it's about to turn into something huge. We're doing it because we love doing it. So yeah, that is nice. And I think it's a nice lesson, you know. I think in that way, and Kiran, I'm not blowing smoke here, but like, it's a very similar message to the one have you ever seen Jodorowsky's Dune, the documentary? At the end of it, so he spends years trying to make this ridiculous film, like, and he won't compromise, and he spends loads of money, and he's, you know, he goes crazy trying to make the film of Dune before David Lynch made it. And at the end of the process, he gets a chance to make it if he will just compromise. And he says, no, he won't compromise. He wants the film to be 12 hours long. Crazy guy stuff. And when he gets shot down in flames, it's a disaster for him. And then at the end of the documentary, years later, reflecting on it, he says, it doesn't matter that it didn't happen. He says, my main thing was I tried to make my ideas real. Mm-hmm. He was like, I tried really hard to make it real, and people around me worked really hard. And that's all you have to do. You just have to try.
Yeah,
so I think the film has that in it. It has a bit of that feeling in it. It's not a suicide mission, and it's not guts or glory. We're doing it because we love making it real. So it's Kiran. I think you did a very good job of that.
Well, something that always struck me is that there is almost a parallel between making the film and the way the band conducts itself in making the albums and so forth. Because this film, although I had worked and done different jobs on different films in the past, this one was completely self-initiated. You know, there was no plan, no budget, no script or anything. It was as organic as Philly described. It's just something that I began doing and continued doing. And it's probably almost like a jack of all trades. I'm uniquely experienced. I can do a bit of camera work. I know how to edit and all the rest of it. And as we saw it come together, it was this process of me insisting on making this thing real, I suppose. And it was only really then when I could see certain cuts and things in front of me that it was, beginning the collaboration with Sara, and Sara seeing the value in it, and other people saying that it was actually that always struck me, Philly. Once we had watched a work in progress cut of the film, he turned to me and said, "You've made a real film."
Yeah, which is really did. Really made a real film, you know. Here it is in Northampton now, you know, it's real.
Yeah. Well, this is it.
Yeah, that's it. Making things real, taking an idea. We should make a film. Everyone says that in the pub, and he did. So fair play.
Yeah.
You know,
sometimes we still can't believe it. We were down in Dublin a couple of weeks ago to the Irish Film Institute, which is kind of the big indie cinema in Dublin, and we sold out the screening. And Kiran and I were, we don't know half the people here. This is brilliant. It's just when you see people who really are into the film, and you're like, you don't know them. It's even better. It was the first time we'd taken it out of the north. We'd done a couple of screenings in Ducks Ireland and in Newcastle. So this was our kind of the furthest we'd travelled with it a couple of weeks ago. But now we're very happy to be heading over to Northampton as well.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you. And it's really just actually talking of Northampton, because before we started this, we said that you had some Alan Moore. Alan Moore, for people who don't know, is the greatest comic book writer of all time, and wrote the epic Jerusalem, as well as many other things, and was a judge of Northampton Film Festival in its first year, just after he made his first film, The Show, which was very exciting. And Cole Gowdy, who's the editor of that, is a big supporter of us, and we love all things Alan Moore world. So what's your little Alan Moore Northamptonshire connection story?
It was back in 2017 or 2018. I had previously worked on a documentary to do with the housing crisis in the UK named Dispossession. And we had a screening of that in Northampton. And Alan graciously agreed to participate in the Q&A panel afterwards alongside the director and the journalist. Natalie Bloomer was there as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Philly and all the boys. Philly and the guys in Gama Bomb, like the rest of us, massive Alan Moore fans. And there's a bit of a mystique around Alan. You know, I can remember we were getting the train up for that screening, and I thought, bloody hell, I'm going to meet Alan.
Wizard.
You know? Like sort of the thunder and lightning and all the rest of it. But we went for a bite to eat before the film screening at the Pizza Express in Northampton, and I was sitting across the table. Eating dough balls in Pizza Express with Alan Moore, no less. And I remember it being so strange because the music that was playing was the Red Hot Chili Peppers Zephyr song. And I just thought, this is so wrong, but so right. It was so strange. But I knew that Philly and the boys in Gama Bomb were massive fans. And I had this privileged opportunity to, cross paths with one of the UK's greatest artists and writers. Unbeknownst to anybody, I brought a book along to get it signed, and I felt really self-conscious about this because it's a bit of a, a fanboy thing to do. But Alan signed a copy of From Hell, not to me, but to Philly. And that became my wedding gift to Philly and his wife Babs when they were married in Dublin. So,
Kiran, I've heard before on good authority from people who know Alan Moore that when he gets a pizza, he gets 2 eggs on it because it looks like a wee face. Did his pizza have 2 eggs on it to look like a wee face?
there were 2 eggs hovering above the pizza the whole time.
That's not the answer I need. I need firm facts. Right.
No, but that was wonderful, and it was great. You had to come up to Northampton that time because we'd been working on this documentary about the housing crisis, and Alan had a very clear-eyed view on, I think, a lot of the politics around housing and homelessness in Northampton as well.
Interesting. If I can bring it back to Northamptonshire, that's what I'm going to do. But I think shows is it's a small creative world, and it's interesting. When I was watching Gama Bomb the second time, actually, just thinking about that kind of, you talk about, before we kind of came on this call, we were talking about, I don't think stereotypes are the right word, but perceptions we have of places. You talk about Newry, which is like this small town, and I'm like, oh no, I feel like Northamptonshire has a hell of a lot of, we have no cities, in fact, but we have a hell of a lot of those little towns. We talked about, perceptions of, what Northern Ireland means for people outside Northern Ireland, what thrash metal means to, what people think that is. I think the film kind of takes a lot of perceptions and kind of, what's so nice about it, you see behind.
We're also good examples of, we're particularly good examples of not being 3 or 4 stereotypes as men. We're not the thrash metal guys you expect. We're not the Northern Irish guys you expect. We're not the men you expect. We're not the middle-aged people you expect. We've got a couple of different. There's a couple of different.
You're the ones we ended up with. You're not the hero we deserve.
Yeah. Although I do think the Northern Ireland thing comes through, and it's I didn't expect that really, but I suppose we're so dyed in the wool, particularly me and Joe, in where we come from. I haven't lived in Newry in about 25 years, and it's absolutely indelible. You can hear my accent and stuff. I lived in London for a long time. My children are from London, not a dicky bird. I live in Dublin now, not a dicky bird, still as Newry as it gets. So I think naturally, if Kiran is following us and watching us, that's gonna be there. It's gonna show up. And I'm pleased with that. I think it's nice that it's in the film, and we're not too harsh on Newry. I think the film has affection for Newry in it, but it does show the heck of the place. It does show that it's not exactly the bright lights, is it? But yeah, I don't know. Kiran, what do you think? What do you think of Newry?
Well, not so much Newry, but the inherent Northern Irishness of it. I'm from Northern Ireland, Sarah's from Northern Ireland, Philly's from Northern Ireland. We're from slightly different Northern Irelands, but you're always aware you're sort of not one or the other in terms of being British or Irish or whatever it might be. I love that about Northern Ireland.
Wearing my Irish Princess Sinead O'Connor t-shirt, by the
way. Redheaded and wearing an Irish t-shirt,
This is one of the reasons, Becky, that we burned the English subtitles into the film, because the thing is so Northern Irish, and moreover, it's a niche within a niche, because Philly and the guys are so imaginative, and like all close groups of friends, they have their own shorthand, their own in-jokes and things like this, and I felt certainly that it helped to have that spelled out at the bottom of the screen in a lot of cases. And also, because I get it almost, I'm aware of being a filmmaker from Northern Ireland who's made a film about people in Northern Ireland, which is something that I long since wanted to do in general. I don't know. My hope was that Survival of the Fastest might have been a contender for best foreign language film at the Oscars, but I think that window has closed.
Nice. Well, actually,
there's something in. Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, the on-scene side of Northern Ireland, the general kind of you know, you've got Kenneth Branagh's Belfast, you've got, you know, Naked, you've got all this stuff that is all very focused on a particular aspect of Northern Ireland. And I think certainly through, you can see the trajectory through fiction film about the, you know, the films coming from here, Ballywalter, Bump Along the Way, like all this stuff. It's not Troubles focused, and we're kind of moving away from that. But I think it's important for us as people of our age who grew up with this, and you know, everybody here has some level of PTSD or something. We're also addressing our feelings about the place through the work that we do. So, and I think that's maybe getting out a bit more, yeah.
And I think in a way, it's something that we've definitely had to answer as a band, normally from people who don't have any clue what it was like, but you know, coming from where we came from. And the film does do a job of explaining specifically Joe's circumstances and the troubles. His home was blown up for the IRA, and it's like, you know, people sort of sometimes ask, well, why are you not addressing that creatively? Why is that not constantly being addressed? Why is that not the main theme of your thing? And it's like, but if you were from that, would you not be writing songs about ninjas instead?
Yeah, you know, that's right.
It's quite telling to me that Kneecap, who are too young to remember any of this, are all about it. You know, well, one of them's 35, all right, so he was a wee boy or whatever, whenever it all ended. But you know what I mean? It's like, to my mind, escapism is a consequence of exposure. But I think the film does a very good job of that. It's not mired down in the past. You know,
and also, I mean, it is kind of a tour diary in the sense that very quickly we go from the band's roots in Northern Ireland. We hit the road, you know, hard and fast, and all of a sudden we're in. I mean, where does the film was it first of all? The first gigs at the Damnation Festival in Leeds,
and from the UK tour, and then
Norwich, and all these places, the European context, and you know, you've got Tokyo in 2019. So I think it really speaks to the appeal of Gama Bomb. You know, that they aren't characterized entirely by the regional identity of Northern Ireland. There's universal appeal, as you were saying earlier on, Philip.
Yeah, so it's nice. Yeah, nice in that regard.
Yeah, no, and I think, you know, it's very, you know, it's totally different. But I think, you know, again, people from, you know, the Northamptonshire that doesn't have a city, that has lots of those small towns and lots of kind of end of industry and all sorts of things. You know, there's the one thing that's about starting Netflix that is about Northamptonshire is about Corby and toxic towns, but that's that's kind of all we get, and no one knows where we are. Literally no one knows where we are, it seems, which is very upsetting, because we are the centre of the universe according to Alan Moore, and I agree with him. But, you know, and it's kind of taking where you come from and you know, kind of running with it and creatively taking what you know, you're made by a place potentially. And that's actually, you know, we believe that the whole point of the film festival is to be inspired by the place in which you live, and that's why we show loads of local films, and we show films from all across the UK, because look at the stories we get. And so place is really important, but it's also not something that, you know, one episode of time defines what you can be and what you should do. And right, we said we weren't going to go over half an hour, and we're really close by to half an hour, because one of the things I wrote loads of notes yesterday when I kind of watched it again about, there's so much that the film covers, and what's so good about it is you do then get kind of this, you know, there's a fast-paced film where you go through it, you know, hitting a lot of different themes and a lot of you know, different parts of people's lives. And I think, well, I mean, what would, if we only have 30 seconds left, what would be the thing that you really hope that kind of people would take away from watching Gama Bomb Survival of the Fastest? Sarah, do you want to go first?
Okay. Just about friendship and open minds. That would be my takeaway.
Nice. Yeah, I like it. Kiran, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I return back to the sort of the credo that I gave myself whenever this wasn't a thing. I just said to myself, we're here to make a film that tells a story for the cinema screen. So, you know, I hope people come out to, as Domo says in the film at one point, it's wonderful to see an audience. And he says that, you know, it's just good to see people smiling as opposed to frowning.
Yeah, as opposed to frowning, yeah. I'd say two things out of it. One, I would hope that they can see us as people and like the picture that they see. and 2, that they'll enjoy the music and go and buy a load of merch.
Absolutely. And you have great
really,
merch. Like, I
we have
love
great
it.
merch.
Love all the t-shirts. Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I hope people hear the music and go, "That's good" as well. That would be nice.
Yeah, one of the big.
Just generally to take the film, the band, the music, the whole thing into their hearts, because there's so much competing for people's attention these days that even a band as great as Gama could be passed over. The film, there's there's a lot of slop out there, so go for the gold here and realize you're
exactly. Go for the gold.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's something that actually also really struck me. Like, audiences, there's a lot of stuff vying for their time. What I loved about actually watching the documentary is you see there's so many people smiling and having such a great time in your audiences. And that is just really infectious watching it.
I always say that about it. I think that the style of music we play, it's not the most mature or introspective or artistically credible music. But what it does that is amazing for people, and I think this film does it too, it carries that energy into it, is it gives people an excuse to feel like a kid for a short period. You'll see in the footage in the film, people run in circles at the gig. Old people run in circles at the gig. And they dress up in silly clothes and they have a good time and they drink beer or whatever it is they do. And they're screaming and shouting and running around. And I think we don't, as adults, most people don't understand or value the positive impact that play has on your life. And, play is huge when you're a child and then we're supposed to stop doing it. But, being creative is a form of play and going and enjoying music is a form of play. And I think this film has a very playful tone to it. So I like that. I like that you see people smiling, and I'm glad you took that away from it because, that's why we're here. Every night we make somebody's day, So
nice.
That's the hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. On that note, I think I'll let you go. But yeah, come and play, people. Come and play at Delapre Abbey and watch the film.
Well, we're doing the UK tour. We're not in Northampton, unfortunately. I would love to come to Northampton, although I know Alan Moore is not a fan of heavy metal. He's often mistaken for one because he has long hair, but he's been categorical about it. Doesn't like heavy metal. But we would love to. But we're touring the UK this year, so people can look out for dates and see where they could get the train to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, with the centre of the UK, which is one of the things we market ourselves on, which is awful because it should not be about going elsewhere. But with Gama Bomb, you can go elsewhere. It's fine. We'll let you do it. Thank you very much for
Thank you so much, Becky. Good luck with the festival.
Yeah, very excited to do the film. Thank you very much. So I'm going to say goodbye. But you can look up, if you go to northamptonfilmfestival.co.uk, you can click on the festival tab and see the whole schedule and see where you can see Gama Bomb, Survival of the Fastest, and the other films that we're showing alongside it. But it's Sunday the 9th of March at Delapre Abbey. If you've missed this and it's after March 2025, then still look up Gama Bomb, go and see them, see where else the film is showing and go and view it. And I hope, to see lots of you at Northampton Film Festival.